honor to be here. We were acquired by McKinsey, which is a very large management consulting company. And I'm happy to talk with you after this talk about what that means. It's kind of a big deal in that we were 60 people when McKinsey came knocking, and 3 years later we have 350 people in studios all around the world doing design work and thinking about design at the broadest level in the boardroom and how it can make the most impact. But Lunar is 30 years in the business plus, and I'm going to show a movie that shows you a little bit more about Lunar in the portfolio, so I won't spend a whole lot of time now. I'd rather talk to you a little bit about a story that has to do with disruption. As designers, this is our reason for being, isn't it? That we would take and disrupt something that's expected. There was an industry asleep at the switch in the US and all around the world, I would dare to say, and it was the thermostat industry. Big companies like Honeywell and Carrier had no idea that they were ripe for an invasion, and then out of nowhere, this company called Nest made a thermostat that, instead of being just an object on the wall that had no intelligence, and intelligence in this industry was about being programmable up until this moment. All of a sudden, products had the ability to be intelligent. And with the Nest, you could talk to it from your telephone. But the interesting thing about that was, even though this was a major disruption in this industry, we felt like better was still out there. Like there was a way that not only could you talk to your home, but you could engage with your home. You could become part of your home and part of your ecosystem within your home in a meaningful way. So I'm going to speak to that a little bit in terms of agile techniques of development. But a company out of Canada in Toronto called ecobee thought, along with us, that better was still out there and that we could achieve this. We invented a system of intelligent home and HVAC management through your heating and your cooling and all the energy that comes along with that. And in order to do that, we had to fight for the work. We had to beat out two other design agencies, one that rhymes with log and one that rhymes with I don't know. But we thought, how will we do this, right? Let's get creative. And so we put together a movie. Now, I'm going to share this with you as a way of introduction here. So ecobee thought that we could do the job. So the ecobee first generation is now known as the Nest Killer. In less than a year, it pushed Nest out of the Apple Store and has 5-star ratings across Amazon. And we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of impact in this industry. So how does that happen? How do we get there? It's complicated. It requires new thinking, and it requires agile methodology. You know, with McKinsey especially, now we have this combination of the left and the right side of our thinking, our creative response, as well as our analytical response to making products. And when we think in this way, when we think from the best of both sides, we become like fully capable. I like to think that Steve Jobs had that ability to work on both sides of the brain. And it's required because doing these things are not easy. There's a lot of work that goes into every aspect of creating a design that's going to be used by millions of people and in millions of homes. This kind of lays out some of the complexity, and of course behind this we know as Dassault makes systems, there's even more complexity in terms of what has to happen in terms of 3D prototyping and making products real in an environment where they can be manufactured at scale. It might sound a little funny here at Milan Design Week talking about manufacturing at scale, but it's the way to impact the most people in the most meaningful way in terms of industrial design. So before we do all this work, we have to get something else right. We have to understand something even more important. These are two of my daughters. This is Monroe on the left, and this is Emily on the right, who's actually here with us at 19. I think, Emily, you were about 7 or 6 in this photograph, and Monroe was just a year and a half older. And I was going to visit the head of a corporation in North America, and everything was going great. The business was going great. I was making it work with all these clients. Actually, the fellow I was going to visit was Michael Dell, and he wanted to understand design. And so I was pretty, feeling good, right? Feeling full of myself. And then as I ran out the door to get the taxi, Monroe comes up to me, and she hands me a drawing. And I put it in my coat, and I was like, oh, now I'm the world's best father on top of everything else, right? Until I get on the airplane, and I take a look at the drawing. Okay, Elizabeth is this beautiful, tall princess with the purse and the crown. I'm this little goofy guy with the knickers back here, right? And it's worse than that. You guys are artists. You know, the kids don't have perspective when they draw at this age. That's a flat plane. So in real life, Elizabeth, she stands about this tall, but not in Monroe's world. In Monroe's world, Elizabeth is a much bigger influence, right? A much bigger factor. See, this is what we all have to understand with our customers. It matters not what you make. You have to understand their emotional context. Where are they? How do they really feel about you, right? It's not just what your customer research says or how you think they might feel. There's a fellow at Harvard, his name is Zaltman, and he says 95% of why we buy what we buy due to unconscious processing. 95%. This is a PhD at Harvard, widely respected as the authority in this area of research. What if he's only half right? What if 50% of why we buy what we buy is because of emotion? We've got to get that right. So we use new techniques to do that. Techniques like a digital diary. We did this for snacking. We give people an app on their smartphones, and we ask them on Monday morning to talk to us about what snacks they're going to eat. And the reason that you get better information this way is, well, they're very polite Monday, yeah? But by Friday, they're in their closet. They are telling you, hey, it's cheat day, Hey, I'm going to do this. They're not telling you what they think you want to hear. They're telling you what you really need to hear. And from there, you can act on it. Once you have that understanding, you can explore whether things should be simple or full or indirect or intuitive. We can map that in the world of how we build the product. And now we use these innovation techniques. We call it an innovation garage. Here's one I just did in Tokyo. We're there for 32 days. We get the designers, we get the operations, we get the marketing people, we get everybody in the room together. Nobody cannot make a decision because everybody who needs to make a decision is there to make the decision. And things happen like that. Happens in about a quarter or a fifth of the time. And if we keep this idea that all the things that we make must be beautiful, must be ingenious, but also have empathy, have charisma, and be pulled towards the user, then we can really succeed in terms of making objects. Even if the objects aren't smart, like this bottle opener, it's still beautiful and works in an ingenious way, and people want him. All of Lunar's work is based on that kind of a premise, and especially work in smarter homes, smarter living. Imagine an exercise bike that is so beautiful you would put it in your living room, and at the same time, it works in a way that's super smart with an interactive kind of display showing you where you're going, telling you how fast you're going, how many calories you're burning. It's a new world, and this world is full of demand for better experiences, a convergence of physical and digital, integrated products and new technologies, but they all must focus on that consumer and that understanding of emotional context and need. That's the North Star. That's the guiding light. Companies like Grohe are understanding this as well. They used to make fixtures that gave you water. Now they're making things like the Sense Card, which controls your use of water and monitors water, tells you about water, lets your smartphone talk to your home about your consumption of water. So these are the ideas around the new world we're living in. And again, when we think about creating physical objects, we have to also now think about the interaction with the physical object from a digital or a graphic standpoint as well, the user interface or the user interaction. And this is not easy to do. This page is cut off, not because it's cut off, but because this keeps going. Everything from spacing of the fonts, how they appear, what kind of iconography is used, size, physical size of the buttons. And now remember, this is a smart world, right? We are talking and interacting with our home as if it were a partner. So now we have to understand how we're doing that. This is our tablet and our desktop, and the size of the circle shows you the interaction. There's our thermostat, there's our smartphone. At different stages throughout what it is we need to do, we have different kinds of levels of interaction with these smart devices, and they with us in return. And the payoff is that we now can talk to Echo, and Echo can talk to Echo B. You know, we have these home kits, we have these methods of working within digital space that extend far beyond what we initially started with, was to make the thermostat somewhat intelligent and meaningful in terms of how we live together with it. The real payoff, this is pulled directly from Amazon, the website. Echo B in its third generation will save you on average 23% annually on heating costs and cooling costs. But more importantly, one of the things that Nest missed was the fact that, yes, I can talk to my home, but only where the thermostat is mounted. Now imagine you're a new mother or new father, and you have a baby, and the baby's room is what you really care about. Echo B has these independent monitors that can go in every room of your home. And so you can understand what the temperature is there, which becomes something super meaningful and something super emotional to you. It also works with the Apple Smart Home software program, which is something that Nest forgot. So better was still out there. And the third generation of Echo B has become even more sophisticated in terms of what it can bring to you, what it can bring to your smart home, how it can make you feel great, not just about the cost and energy usage that you have, but that things like your baby are safe and feeling comfortable. I think that's kind of the lesson that Monroe taught me when I was heading for that taxi cab, and it's sort of the message I wanted to leave with you guys here today. We'll focus on that first. So thank you very much.